Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk, and you've caught me at a bit of a bad time. You see, I'm currently out on patrol for a new organisation that I'm a part of. Around these parts, we go by the name of... We're currently on the hunt for games and series that have been completely forgotten about. Franchises where the developers released a game and then stopped giving a 4 decibels later. I think we've got a live one. Come here, you son of a bitch! This thing costs more than my fucking house. Welcome home, old friend. Chibi-Robo is an odd little bugger that released on the Nintendo GameCube on May 26, 2006 here in the UK. Right at the tail end of the GameCube's life cycle. Like, come on, the follow-up to the GameCube came out only 6 months after this game did, so it's no surprise that this game didn't set the world on fire. Initially developed by Bandai Namco, Chibi-Robo started life as a point-and-click adventure game where you would guide Chibi-Robo around an inventor's house, which was such a solid idea that they gave up on it. Shigeru Miyamoto of Nintendo caught eye of the demo, however, and took a liking to the character of Chibi-Robo. Who could blame him? The game was in development for roughly 4 years from start to finish, which is a hell of a lot longer than I expected. So, was it worth it? I own one of only 60,000 PAL copies of this game. What do I do with this information?
Alright, sir, before you buy this mansion, we're gonna need a down payment. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Get the fuck out of here.
I didn't want the mansion anyway, Maxwell. Why would I when I can play Chibi-Robo all day? Who needs shelter? Chibi-Robo opens up on a birthday party at the Sanderson household, where we're introduced to the star-studded lineup of Mam, Dad, Tao, and Jenny, truly a foursome worthy of being in Smash. Jenny is the birthday girl, and her mom gives her a hat. Amazing. Tao gives her a fucking bone. It still has skin on it, Tao. And Dad gives Jenny her very own Chibi-Robo helper robot. How could this be? This, right here, is a Chibi-Robo, and this is Telly, his best friend and also his manager. I mean, come on, did you really look at this guy and think, oh yeah, he's definitely not a manager? You'd have to be a fucking idiot to think that. Telly tells us that our goal is to make the Sandersons happy. How do we do that? We give Jenny a flower and piss out for the night, that's how. One more time, please. Fantastic, I'm in love with this game already. Everything seems to be going swell for the family until, poverty! Turns out that Mr. Sanderson over here is currently out of a job. The family has hit a rough patch financially, and as if none of this was bad enough already, Mr. Sanderson bought Chibi-Robo without consulting his wife. And as we all know, Chibi-Robo was super duper fucking expensive. That is disgustingly realistic. But I mean, come on, he cooks, he cleans, he annihilates. That's more than worth the price of admission, right? So yeah, Mr. Sanderson has a little bit of an addiction when it comes to how he spends his money, while his wife would rather spend conservatively and only on necessities to do that whole survival thing that people are going crazy about lately. But enough of the story for now, who gives a piss? I want to know just what the hell a Chibi-Robo gets up to. The gameplay of Chibi-Robo is very basic at a surface level, but it offers a lot of depth and can be monumentally enjoyable when you really get a grasp of it. You explore the Sanderson household as a robot the size of a pen lid, and this alone is such a neat concept. Every inch of the house is accessible to you as long as you have the tools necessary to get there, and the pacing of unlocking all these tools is damn near perfect. You see, the game works on a day-and-night system, Hong Kong plagiarism coming through, but the way it's executed in Chibi-Robo offers a lot of perks when compared to Pikmin. Inside of the Chibi house, we have a computer which allows us to do some online shopping. Oh boy, I can't wait to buy Donkey Konga 2 in 2006. Son of a bitch. One of the first things you're able to purchase in the game is one of 3 timers. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and 15 minutes. Holy shit, I wonder what they do. Buying and equipping one determines the length of the days and nights. That's fucking impossible! I believe you can change which one you have selected in the Chibi house before leaving it every time, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Me personally, I went for 15 minutes because 13 wasn't an option, damn it. After 15 minutes in a day passes, Telly tells us it's time to go home, and we're a good little robot, so we listen to what he says. Even if we're about to do something really important. Telly, let's discuss your timing. You would assume it would be daytime again when we resurface, but no, it's nighttime. What, did we take a fucking nap? But this is all justified by the differences between night and day, which are actually pretty substantial. The most notable thing being that Chibi-Robo canonically takes place within the Toy Story universe. Damn it! When you're roaming around the house at night, you'll stumble across the toys of the house, who are all sentient. This is where the bulk of the character and charm of the game comes from. Every single toy has a unique personality, which is so poignant and interesting. And it makes exploring every nook and cranny of the house so much more interesting because you might stumble across a great new character. Most of the toys aren't mandatory to meet up with too, which adds a layer of uniqueness to each playthrough. Most people will stumble across Sophie the dog toy, Drake Redcrest, the Free Rangers, Captain Plankbeard, but outside of those guys, it's totally up in the air whether or not you'll meet the rest of the cast. I'm pretty sure I was able to meet all of the characters in my playthrough, but I can't be sure on that because information regarding this game is tough to come by, which is something of a theme for this guy. Sophie is deeply in love with Drake Redcrest, but can't bring herself to tell him. Drake Redcrest himself is constantly on the hunt for justice and wants to recruit you as an ally. And why would you say no to that offer? The Egg Rangers are at war with Tao because he kidnapped one of their men, but after a while, a number of them quit and can be found around the house. This leads to a lot of gameplay variety, as each egg you find has different games you can play with them, like Mario Kart on the top of the stairs, or Star Fox in the foyer. This plays better than Star Fox Zero. But did you really expect it not to? Each and every character has their own story, their own motivations, and most importantly, their own set of tasks for us to complete. So not only do we want to make the Sandersons happy, but we also want to make all the toys in the house happy as well. But how the fuck do we do that? Gameplay isn't something you'd immediately associate with this sequence of letters, but at the end of the day, it is a game, so they needed to find a way of shoving it in there somehow. Our robotic buddy over here is battery powered, and like all good batteries, his depletes within seconds. So what are we gonna do? We can't just let our Chibi-Robo die. He's Chibi-Robo, not Captain Rainbow. Contrary to popular belief, Chibi-Robo does not have a tail, but instead a plug. Surely a revelation that will have you checking your nearest cat in a blind panic. We can pick up this plug, which allows us to run faster, and it can also be plugged into the wall to recharge our batteries. Thank God. And every time we do, Telly asks us if we want to save. Thank God. The battery can be upgraded throughout the game on our quest to become Super Chibi-Robo. There are at least 4 goals in this game, and that's a little too much for such a tiny boy to handle. As we continue to play, we find tools that allow Chibi-Robo to be the greatest maid you ever did see. We find a toothbrush we can use to clean stains, a spoon we can use to dig holes, and a gun that we can use to shoot the shit out of any game that dares to sell more copies than this one. Chibi-Robo is the best shooter on the GameCube. 007, eat your heart out. Accomplishing small tasks like putting some wrappers in your nearest local bin reward us with money, so we can buy more upgrades, and more importantly, happy points. These are the main thing you want to go for in my opinion, as the more you gain, the higher up your Chibi ranking goes. At the beginning of the game, Telly tells us that we are directly competing against all other Chibi-Robos to see who can make people the happiest. And we are currently in rank 1 million. Skip really thought this game would sell better, didn't they? Every time a day cycle ends, we add our new points to our tally to see how much we've improved. And after certain thresholds, we upgrade our battery, which is a great incentive to keep gaining these happy points. And as our ranking soars, we grow ever closer to the elusive Super Chibi-Robo. But we don't need to use an amiibo because this game isn't dog shit. I'll give those of you who can't spell a minute to catch up. One of the biggest problems with most people with thumbs is that they feel that certain goals being locked behind certain times of day leads to too much playtime being wasted. I would scream if I had that opinion. While it's true that a lot of the time a task you need to do is only available at the opposite time of day, I honestly think that this was a purely intentional move. If you can't do a task that'll progress the story, what are you gonna do? I'll tell you what you're gonna do, bitch. You're gonna be a good little robot and earn some goddamn happy points. All of the quote-unquote downtime the game gives us is supposed to be used to our advantage. Whenever there was something I needed to do at night, for example, I would spend the entire day exploring every single inch of the house. And if there was so much as a single stain for me to clean, guess what I'd be doing? I jumped at the chance to take some time away from the story beats to do some tidying, because I knew the more chores I did, the closer I'd get to that sweet battery upgrade. And this kept the game from ever getting even remotely boring for me. For a lot of the game, you continue to do these tasks without really knowing why. And despite what a lot of people will say, there is actually a story tying it all together. I should go let everybody know. Nobody believed me. Throughout the game, Mr. and Mrs. Sanderson continue to argue about the addiction to stimulating the economy that one of them may or may not have, to the point that Mrs. Sanderson locks herself in her room all day and all night, leaving Mr. Sanderson to juggle all of the responsibilities of the house. Inadequately. But hey, at least we get to make burgers because he's too fucking stupid to do it himself. Yellow.
Hey man, wanna go get burgers for lunch?
Oh, do I ever. The fighting gets so bad that Mrs. Sanderson angrily tells her husband she wants a divorce, while her crying daughter is well within earshot and has been unable to sleep because of how sad the family dynamic is making her. Yep. 7-year-olds can handle that. Chibi-Robo sees an advertisement on TV warning everyone of the dreaded spy dolls, robots whose sole purpose is to kill the f*** out of us. And sure enough, they show up. These guys will become important later. When we enter the basement for the first time, we find the polar opposite of Chibi-Robo, Giga-Robo, an outdated helper robot that used to have a close relationship with the family and is now out of commission. Captain Plankbeard wants us to revive him, but to do that we need to recharge his enormous battery and find his leg. All in a day's work. We plug ourselves into the giant robot and... Now obviously the biggest question here is... how the hell are we gonna get this leg? I mean, surely it would be a fairly straightforward time travel. We time travel. With the help of aliens. Because of course we f***ing do. Later in the game we find this radar, and after using it in the garden at night, we summon an alien spaceship. After the aliens come down and... die of sadness, we board their ship and mess with their bootleg DDR set, allowing us to travel to the past. We awake on a scene of Mr. Sanderson arm wrestling Giga-Robo, and this is where we find the code to the suitcase that the leg is in. Because where the f*** else would you keep a leg? We go back to the present because I'm not really a movie guy, and we head up to retrieve the leg. But come on, this is Chibi-Robo, so nothing can ever be simple. We open the chest and... giant spy dolls invade the household, nab our leg, and begin to terrorize the family. We all head to the living room in a state of panic, and Mr. Sanderson heroically seals the door with a table. In the midst of trying to figure out what to do, Mr. Sanderson drops the biggest plot twist in Nintendo's history on us. That's right, the lovable klutz we've been trying to help all this time designed our mortal enemies. Turns out though, they were designed to be friends with Chibi-Robo, until Macroware Incorporated decided, you know what, Bloodlust would be funnier, forcing Mr. Sanderson to quit the company. With twists this good, who needs other forms of entertainment? We're tasked with going back to the past again, so that we can find the blueprints for an upgraded Chibi Blaster, because the spy dolls clearly didn't pay enough attention to the bullet points on the back of the box. The build up to the final boss is pretty great. We head to the foyer with Mr. Sanderson, and we have to fend off a load of angry four-legged fuckfaces while he runs upstairs to get his tools. These guys don't die, so it feels genuinely intense. There's no way that you can fail this part unless you use your controller as a cup before it. But regardless, when we get back into the living room, we allow this idiot to operate on us. At least Tao is wearing the proper safety precautions. 10 out of 10, good boy if I ever did see one. Alright, we're ready to take these bitches down. You know what? My foot hurts. Can we do this another day? How the f*** is a game called Chibi-Robo about to hit me with an intense boss fight after just hitting me with a story that's better than Breath of the Wild? How? In the grand scheme of gaming, this boss fight isn't the most monumental thing out there, but considering the context surrounding it, this fight is pretty damn good. Never in my life did I expect that a game with these two words in the title, that for the most part plays like this, would have a final boss that looked like this. How is this game real? We f***ed this thing all the way up as the little froggy robot that could, and we finally retrieve Giga-Robo's leg. Telly has an existential crisis as the world goes back to being anti-upside down, and the family are freed from their thick-webbed prisons. And with that, divorce is no more! Hooray! Mrs. Sanderson calls us Chibo here, which is also something she does elsewhere in the game, and I refuse to be known as anything else from this point forward. Hey, what's up? It's your boy Chibo, and today we're gonna be talking about me! We head back down to the basement and revive Giga-Robo, and he makes his way through the house to really stick it to everyone that he's back. Sup bitches, I just pulled a Jesus, live with it. The aliens return, thank God! They tell us about Giga-Robo's history, and here we learn exactly how and why all of the toys are sentient. Turns out Giga-Robo actually saved the alien gang a number of years ago, and in exchange they granted him 2 wishes. His first was to give the toys souls, and his second was to have a battery that never ran out. The reason the aliens are here is to fulfill the promise that they made so long ago, and with that, Giga-Robo is granted eternal energy. I knew I shouldn't have done it. All my life people have been telling me not to listen to giant robots, and this is what I get for ignoring them! I get a fucking party, that's what. I'm not gonna listen to anybody ever again! Mr. Sanderson discovers that the robos don't need energy anymore, and with that, he lets out the heartiest in all the land. And with that, the credits roll, and our adventure as Nintendo's least favourite little hero is over. And boy oh boy do I have some opinions. You might have noticed that my points were a little bit all over the place at times. Yep, that's Chibi-Robo for you. It isn't always obvious just what the hell you're supposed to be doing, and you will almost definitely find yourself flip-flopping between tasks every now and then. And it's weirdly endearing. I also want to quickly touch on the presentation. The sound design in this game is impeccable. Videos online simply do not do it justice. You really need to experience it for yourself. But the sounds that Chibi-Robo makes when walking are beyond charming, and the sound changes depending on what material you're walking on. It's such a small thing, but I massively appreciate it, as it emphasizes Chibi-Robo's lack of size with these cute, almost toy-like sound effects, whilst also somehow injecting more character into each and every area of the game. The sound design is pretty unconventional, but unbelievably charming. Sure, the music isn't anything to write home about, but when paired with the abundance of sound effects, it's incredibly fitting, and gives me a weirdly nostalgic feeling. It's kind of hard to describe. And visually, this game is just one of the most lovely things I've ever seen. Once again, everything about the game's visuals gives me an incredibly strong nostalgic feeling. It's just so pleasant. The graphics won't blow you away by any stretch of the imagination, but they work incredibly well in the context of what the game was trying to achieve. Chibi-Robo is one of the greatest games the GameCube has to offer. That's right, I said it, bitch. Alright, okay, I know it sounds like a bit of an exaggeration, but in all honesty, very few games in general have given me as much happiness as this one has. The gameplay, the world, it's all so magical. It genuinely makes me so happy. The simple act of being immersed within the game, running around its world, it all feels so damn good. And yet, despite how fantastic the game is, despite how much I love this damn thing, I can't bring myself to recommend this game to anyone. This thing is stupidly rare and disgustingly expensive, to the extent that I can't encourage anyone to go out and track down a copy. I am beyond grateful that I was able to get my hands on this game, but until its price comes down, hell, if it even ever does come down, I would just suggest you watch one of the 5 Let's Plays out there and save yourself the headache. If you're down for emulating games, then by all means go for it, but if you're like me and just need more discs in your life, this one's probably going to elude you for a while. If there's a better way to start talking about how poorly Nintendo has treated this franchise, then I haven't heard it. Yep, we've put it off long enough. Chibi-Robo is potentially the Nintendo franchise that has been treated the worst. I'm sure F-Zero fans just gave me a hearty fist shaking, but still. Chibi-Robo on the GameCube didn't even manage to sell 1 million units, but really? Is that surprising? I've only been able to find one single trailer for the game online, and if that accurately represents the extent of the game's marketing, then no piss it didn't sell well. Do you really think anyone with a pulse would be actively searching for a plug-based adventure game called Chibi-Robo if they didn't even see a single trailer for it? I mean, I would have, but believe it or not, this and this are two very different things. And on top of that, the game released at the very end of the GameCube's life cycle, and need I remind you that the GameCube was a complete failure. So not only was the release of the Wii about 4 decibels away from happening, but the few people that might, maybe, potentially have been interested in the game would have had to have bought a failed console to play it. That just wasn't gonna fucking happen, was it? But what are you gonna do? The game sold less than scurvy. The next logical step is to make a sequel, of course. They did what? How the fuck do you make a sequel to one of the worst selling games you've ever released? How? Chibi-Robo Park Patrol released on the Nintendo DS, the best-selling Nintendo system out there. Chibi-Robo might actually have a chance now. Fuck you! Nintendo went cold turkey on this game just a few months before it released, and decided not only to sell it exclusively in the US, but also only at Walmart. You know, the shop where you need an employee to get your hands on any game meaning you have to actively hunt down a cashier and tell them, "I'll have one Chibi-Robo to go please," and tell me. Who would do that? Fucking nobody, that's who. But hey, the DS isn't region locked, so I should be able to get my hands on this game easy enough. Fucking hell! But look on the bright side, Nintendo was re-releasing GameCube games on the Wii, and Chibi-Robo is one of them. Go to hell, Nintendo! Beep beep, another sequel coming through, so how did Nintendo f*** this one up? Oh my god. Unanimously considered the best game in the series, Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep never left Japan, because God forbid I feel happiness from time to time. So there we go, 1 game that wasn't advertised, and 2 that Nintendo just didn't want me to play. What the hell did Chibi-Robo do to deserve this? He got a spin-off on the 3DS. You just took pictures of things. I can't even be bothered to yawn. And that leads us to where we are now, with Chibi-Robo long dead and all hope of him being revived down the drain. It's genuinely disheartening looking back on the mistreatment of this franchise and dreaming of a world where it was more successful. Maybe we'd have a remake of the original game on Switch, or hell, maybe even a brand new game. Wouldn't that be nice? However, there is one more sequel that I haven't talked about yet, and it's the only game in the franchise after the original that came out here in the UK, so I think it's only fair if I buy it, play it, and see if it lives up to the original. This is gonna fucking sting.